In this video, I will go through the different automation options that are available in all the mods 10 to the sky for all of the vanilla materials. I'm only going to focus on the things that are easy to set up early game. My goal is to help you find the simplest setup that gets the most resources. There are quite a few mods available in this mod pack that can automate resource production. Let's first talk about what they are. First and foremost, we have Cobblegen Galore. This mod can generate certain resources incredibly fast. If Cobblegen Galore can produce an item, then that is the mod to use. And then we have XyCraft extractors. These are really easy to make and can be quite fast and simple to set up. If there is no Cobblegen Galore option, then generally you should choose this. Next up is Mystical Agriculture, which covers some resources that other mods don't. It can also work relatively fast and is pretty easy to set up. We will also need to talk about Create. It has extreme flexibility, and if you spend the time learning how everything works, a lot of resources have great automation using this mod. We also have the sieve that can be set up to automate quite a few resources at once. With some materials, this might actually be the best early game automation, or, in the case of torch flower seeds, the only way to get them. Other options include productive bees, which can be great if you need a rare or specialized resource, but typically productive bees does not generate resources very fast compared to other mods. So, for vanilla resource automation, they are not very useful. We also have modern industrialization, which provides quarries. These might be good in certain situations, but they do require a lot of setup, and especially doing complete automation requires a ton of work. For that reason, I will not include them in this video. Let's go through the important mods in a bit more detail. First up is Mystical Agriculture. It is a mod that lets you grow your resources by planting special resource seeds. To get started, you'd need to acquire two special resources that the mod adds: Inferium Essence and Prosperity Shards. The Prosperity Shards you can actually get by sieving soul sand, so make sure to set up soul sand sieving automation if you want to get deep into mystical agriculture. Automating this will be covered later. You will need to kill some mobs to get your first Inferium Essence, but after you get a few, you can create an Inferium Seed that lets you grow more Inferium Essence easily. I have done some research into the best way of growing the seeds when considering both yield and how expensive it is to set up. The most important items that speed up growth a lot are the growth accelerators that Mystical Agriculture provides and the growth accelerators from Applied Energistics 2. The ones from Mystical Agriculture are not too difficult to make unless you want the higher tier versions, but you do need a lot of them. The Applied Energistics ones require you to get started with the basics of that mod first. They also require a power source, but in the end it might require less effort than the Mystical Agriculture ones. I was looking at John Hall's video about the best endgame setup, and with the first option he suggests, I was able to get 761,000 Inferium over a 30-day tick sprint. If you don't want to add any of Mystical Agriculture or Applied Energistics growth accelerators, then you are looking at a yield of only 12,000. If you only add the Inferium growth accelerators from Mystical Agriculture, then you get 211,000. If you only add the growth accelerators from Applied Energistics, you get 479,000. So I would suggest that you aim for the optimal setup, but start with Applied Energistics growth accelerators, since I think they will give you more yield for less effort. So what is this optimal setup? In the middle, we have a harvester pylon that has been waterlogged. The pylon has to be manually set to harvest a 9x9 area, since the default is 3x3. The pylon needs a hoe in order to work, and normally it will use up its durability every time it harvests, but there's a cheat. Craft any tier hoe, like a stone one, and put it in a crafting grid. This will give you a silent gear version of the hoe as an output. This hoe can't break. It will always stay at 0 durability instead. And this actually tricks the harvester pylon to work forever. Put a storage on top of the harvester pylon. Now, place regular farmland in a 9x9 area checkerboard pattern around the pylon. On every piece of farmland, put red fertilizer, crop support, and your seed. These items are pretty cheap to make, and although they don't do much for the efficiency on their own, it all adds up. Whenever you can afford it, place an applied energistics growth accelerator in all of the gaps between the seeds. Connect these with basic universal cable and provide them with power. An 8x magmatic generator will be enough. You can power this from one porcelain crucible, if it's on top of a superheating element. Pipe cobblestone into this crucible from a Cobblegen Galore stone block generator. As a last step, you can add the growth accelerators from Mystical Agriculture underneath each farmland. Always do the cheapest ones that can still reach your plant. This means you should do 9 inferium ones, then 9 prudentium under those, and so on. You absolutely don't need to do this whole setup though. If you are lazy or if you only have one seed of something you don't need a whole lot of, just put it in a hopper botany pot with the lowest tier of Mystical Agriculture farmland that the seed allows, or use squat grow on it. Now that we have inferium essence and prosperity shards, we can start creating our seeds. To craft them, we need to set up something called an infusion altar and pedestals. Crafting these is quite simple since it only requires stone, red wool, and gold. Once you have placed down the altar anywhere in your world, it will show you an outline of where you need to place the pedestals. You will need 8 of them in total. To get wood seeds, for example, all you need to do is place 4 logs of any type of wood on 4 of the pedestals, and then place inferium essences on the rest. In the middle, you need to place a prosperity seed base, which is simply a wheat seed and 4 prosperity shards. When everything is in place, you just need a redstone signal on the altar to start crafting the seed. A button will do. This seed can now be planted like any other, and the same notes on growing speed applies here. Inferium is the lowest tier of essence. There are lots of different tiers, and you get the next tier by combining 4 of the previous tier together with something called an infusion crystal. The crystal requires some effort to make, and it needs a diamond, prosperity shards, and inferium. This infusion crystal can be used multiple times to craft the next tier of essences, but it will break, and to craft the higher tiers you need a better crystal as well. There is a master version that never breaks and can be used to craft all tiers, so if you want to use Mystical Agriculture a lot, then try to get that as soon as you can. I won't be going into details about the mod Create, but the most basic Create bulk blaster, washer and haunter setups can be very useful for automating some resources fast. Basically, if there is something that can be smelted, then the fastest way to automate it is almost guaranteed to be a bulk blaster. Because of this, there are a ton of materials that I won't even bother mentioning, like automating cracked tiles. Just bulk blast the non-cracked ones. Let's quickly go over how you can make a Create bulk processing setup. This build will not work for all materials. For example, how many fans you need will depend on things like how fast your conveyor belt is moving and how many resources you are trying to process at once. I will show you the blocks you need, and hopefully you can make any necessary tweaks yourself. First off, you need encased fans that will be blowing into lava, soulfire, campfire or water. For this build, I will use 3 of them, but you might need 10 or more for processing some materials. Next, they need to be connected to each other by placing encased chain drives behind them. On one end, you can put 1 additional encased chain drive to rotate the belt as well. There are multiple ways to do this. You can, for example, just extend your line of chain drives and place 2 vertical gearboxes like this. Now, depending on which direction the rotational force is going, you either need to place a shaft or a non-vertical gearbox to make the mechanical belt move in the correct direction. Next, connect a shaft to the gearbox and place another shaft in line with it on the other end. Place a mechanical belt by right-clicking with it on both shafts. Now, just use an inventory and funnel to input and extract the items onto the belt. The brass funnel is better than the andesite one because it can move a whole stack at once. Now just place your lava, soul fires, campfires or water. Place some trapdoors for your lava and water so they stay put. Now all you need is a water wheel to power the entire thing. Just connect it to your chain drives, surround it with blocks and place one water source in the middle at the top. Place a block on one side to create the directional force. For the bulk haunter you need soul sand. Get your first soul sand by using regular sand on an Ex Deorum barrel with witch water in it. Witch water is something you can get by putting water in a barrel that is on top of mycelium. Get mycelium by using mycelium spores from sieving dirt on a dirt block. Surrounding the barrel with more mycelium speeds up the process of converting it to witch water and also gives a chance to grow some mushrooms. If you want access to simple early game auto-crafting, then consider the XyCraft fabricator. It is quite cheap, doesn't require power and is easy to use. Just make sure that your input items are separated from each other in chests or drawers next to the fabricator instead of being input directly into it, since it can get clogged up and stop working if you use the fabricator's internal inventory. Some of the things we are going to discuss require power, so let's cover power production. You can get renewable power early game by making a magmatic generator from Generator Galore that is powered by the lava that a XyCraft extractor can create from lava and dripstone. The XyCraft lava generator can be a bit wonky, but this is how you can set it up. Place a fluid pipe from the pipes mod on the ground, sneak right-click an extractor on top and make sure that the extractor points downward like this. Then place a dripstone block on top. Put a temporary block on top of that and place 4 non-burnable blocks around it. Replace the temporary block with lava. Now you can connect a magmatic generator to your fluid pipe. Just make sure to sneak right-click with a pipe wrench to set the output source right under the extractor. If you need a more powerful setup, you can do the one I already mentioned for powering the mystical agriculture farm. For that, you need an 8 times magmatic generator, which can get its lava from a porcelain crucible. As long as the crucible is on top of a superheating element, it will provide lava fast enough to power the 8 times generator. And the cheapest Cobblegen Galore stone block generator is enough to provide it with cobblestone. While we are talking about power, there are some useful things I would like to mention. We don't need to run power cables everywhere in all the mods 10 to the sky, because we actually have remote power available using flux networks. It might sound intimidating, but it's actually really simple to set up. You will want to create at least one flux plug that you can connect to your power generation setup. Everywhere you want to use the power, you need a flux point. Some flux storage might also be good. To set it up, you need to interact with the different flux items and connect them to the same network. Click on this plus sign on the network tab to create a network. Every flux item you want to use together have to be on the same network. The color on the items can tell you that they are correctly connected. You can use universal cables from Mechanism or Power to connect adjacent machines easily with only one flux point, but the energy pipes from the Pipes mod don't seem to connect properly. The mechanical drying basin from Integrated Dynamics can also be used for some automation. It requires mineral, which you get from growing mineral saplings. and putting the logs you get into a squeezer that is next to a regular drying basin. To get the mineral sapling, just sieve some moss. The mechanical drying basin requires power. The way we can automate the Ex Deorum hammer and sieve is with the flux versions of these items. Crafting them isn't too expensive, but they need power. Also note that the flux hammer and the flux sieve can be upgraded using a gold upgrade or a diamond upgrade. Now, let's get into the actual resources and the best way to get them. Let's cover the important early game ores and crystals. Iron, gold, copper, diamond, netherite, emerald, lapis, coal, redstone and glowstone. The fastest early game way to get them is probably just to automate sieving. Later on you want to look into gears for the fastest automation of these. Glowstone is not in gears, so for that you can try hostile neural networks or productive bees. For iron, gold, copper and lapis, you will want to sieve crushed deepslate, but gravel is almost as good. You can only get diamond, emerald and coal from gravel. Sieve crushed blackstone for ancient debris. Redstone has the highest chances from red sand, but you can also get it from dust. Glowstone, on the other hand, has the highest chances from dust, but you can also get it from soul sand. Continue watching to find out how to automate the materials, and then you can just input these into a flux sieve and provide it with power. Out of these resources, iron, gold, copper, emerald, coal, redstone and glowstone can be acquired from hostile neural networks. More on that later in the video. Speaking of copper, if you want copper blocks with different stages of exposure automated, then that is possible, but not super cheap. The mod mechanism seemed to have the best options. Let's tackle the most easily automated things first by talking about everything Cobblegen Galore can get us. For cobblestone, even the slowest Cobblegen Galore generator gives cobblestone twice as fast as the other mods. The highest level of block generator gives cobblestone close to 100 times faster than the others. As a reminder, this is all you need to set it up. Place a block generator, put lava on one side and water on the other. Then just put an inventory on top to collect the cobble. Also note that the block the generator is standing on actually matters. If you're not getting cobblestone, just make sure the generator is standing on, for example, cobblestone. The other options for what block you can put the generator on top of are diorite, andesite, granite, tuff or obsidian. Doing this will make the generator create that block instead. For the obsidian one, it will consume the lava if you use a source block, but if you instead use flowing lava, it will actually still work and not consume your source. Consider placing it in the Nether for faster lava flow, or using any fluid placer will be more efficient if you have a lot of lava being produced. If you, for whatever reason, want to automate crying obsidian, that is possible too. You can create crying obsidian by putting regular obsidian into an Ex Deorum barrel that is filled with witch water. Simply put a barrel on top of mycelium and surround it with additional mycelium for faster processing. Pipe some water into this using a pipe's fluid pipe that gets water from a cooking for blockheads sink. This will automatically create witch water in the barrel. Use an item pipe to pipe obsidian into the barrel and another item pipe to take the crying obsidian out. Don't forget to use the pipe wrench on the output pipes. To get cobbled deepslate, use the same setup as for cobblestone, just replace the water with packed ice, and do blue ice instead if you want basalt. Lava on both sides and netherrack underneath will make a netherrack generator. To get that first netherrack you need, you can use lava on an Ex Deorum barrel with witch water in it. If you do witch water on one side and lava on the other with a glowstone block underneath, you will get endstone. You can use the same trick with flowing lava as for the obsidian generator so that the lava source is not consumed. Blackstone is not available with XyCraft or Cobblegen Galore, but you can just bulk haunt cobblestone to get it. Now, how about stone and Deepslate? Stone takes a lot longer to generate than cobblestone. If you don't need a lot of stone, then just set up a XyCraft extractor like this. First, put a magma block. On top of it, put stone or cobblestone, and on either side of the stone block, put water and lava, with the extractor on top. For Deepslate, replace the stone block with Deepslate and the water with packed ice. If you need massive amounts, then set up a Cobblegen Galore generator, making the cobbled versions, and send that into a create bulk blaster, because that can potentially make stone and Deepslate as fast as you can get the cobbled ones. And of course, you can bulk blast stone again for smooth stone. The simple bulk blaster I already covered gives stone about 30 times faster than the extractor. If, for some reason, you want to make your stone or cobblestone mossy, just set up the basic generators and a XyCraft moss extractor, and use an Autocrafter to craft those together. Since I mentioned it, let's talk about the XyCraft moss extractor. For this, you need a bone block, a stone block, and 4 moss blocks. Combine 4 grass seeds from sieving dirt to get moss, and sieving dust gives bone meal. Set the extractor by placing a bone block, putting a stone block on top of the bone, and the extractor on top of the stone. Also put 4 moss blocks around the stone block. To get mud, use an extractor standing on dirt with water next to it. If you want packed mud, you will have to get straw or wheat. Get wheat using Mystical Agriculture nature seeds or grow the wheat directly. To get dirt, you can use Mystical Agriculture if you already have Mystical Agriculture set up and just want small amounts of dirt cheaply. But if you need lots of dirt, then set up an extractor to get mud and input that into a mechanical drying basin. Technically, you can use a normal drying basin, but it will be too slow to really be worth it. If you want to turn that dirt into dirt path blocks, you have to use a create mechanical press. If you want to automate farmland, then you can use a mechanical mixer instead. XyCraft can also provide you with calcite, snowballs, mycelium, amethyst, ice, pointed dripstone, dragon egg, and dragon's breath. The drying basin can be used to make magma blocks out of lava. If you use extractors to generate the lava, then it seems you might need roughly 15 of them to keep a mechanical drying basin producing. If you instead want to use porcelain crucibles, you only need 2 of them if they are on top of superheating elements. The lowest tier Cobblegen generator is enough to provide the cobble for these crucibles. If you just want small amounts of magma blocks, you can also just sieve crushed blackstone or netherrack to get magma cream, which can be crafted into magma blocks, with the highest chances being with netherite mesh and crushed blackstone. Let's talk about sand and gravel next. We can set up a flux hammer to get cobblestone from a cobble generator, which will give us gravel that we can input into another flux hammer for sand. And once we have gravel, we can also bulk wash it to get flint. If you want red sand, you can set up 2 flux hammers, one to crush netherrack and one that crushes that further into red sand. To get soul sand and soul soil, you can either grow Mystical Agriculture nether and fire seeds for soul sand or earth seeds for soul soil, or you can do bulk haunting of sand and dirt. If you want concrete, you can craft the concrete powder and put that through a bulk washer. For nether quartz, bulk wash soul sand. You can set up a quite simple create machine that takes sand as the input, which it can bulk haunt and immediately bulk wash. Additionally, if you're looking for clay, then just bulk wash the sand instead. With wood, we have 2 options, Mystical Agriculture or Create. I won't cover a create wood farm here, but they would look something like this. The setup will probably take longer than Mystical Agriculture, especially if you want it to be really fast. For mystical agriculture, just grow wood seeds. With this wood seed, you get access to all overworld wood types. To get the nether woods, you need wood seeds, but you also need something called a nether seed. For the nether seed, you need a few nether-related blocks that are combined into something called nether agglomeratio. But after you get 4 of those, the process is the same as for creating the wood seeds in the infusion setup. If you want bamboo or sugarcane, mystical agriculture nature seeds is the way to go. But you can get them both from sieving dirt, so consider automating that if you just want small amounts. The same applies for cactus, but if that's what you're looking for, sieve sand instead of dirt. If you want stripped logs, then use the stripper from Productive Bees. It's the cheapest, fastest and easiest option. If you're a big fan of stripped bamboo, then either use a Create Mechanical Saw or use the cutting board from Farmer's Delight, which just requires you to hold down right-click on the cutting board with an axe in your main hand and a block of bamboo in your off hand. Rebind the Use Item key to make it super fast. Let's talk a bit about mob drops, since they can also be automated. In general though, automating mob drops will take a bit more effort to get started with than the building blocks. To automate them, the 2 cheapest options are Mystical Agriculture and Hostile Neural Networks. Mystical Agriculture automation is the same, just plant the seeds and wait. The tricky bit is actually getting the seeds. You will need another material called Soulium dust that you get from sieving soul sand, but only if your sieve mesh is diamond or netherite tier. This soulium dust is required to make soul jars. These jars are used to capture the souls of mobs either by killing them with a special soulium dagger while the jar is in your inventory, or by sacrificing some mob-specific materials in a soul extractor. In either case, you will probably need to kill quite a few of the mobs you want to automate in order to craft the seeds. Not only that, but the mob seeds, at least the hostile ones, tend to be pretty high tier seeds, meaning that you have to also get the higher tier essences, so expect this to take a while. The other option for getting mob drops, hostile neural networks, might actually provide options for getting mob drops without ever having to kill the mob in question. Let's go through how it works. You need to build a simulation chamber, which is pretty cheap. Next, you need a model framework, which is also relatively easy to make. You need to right-click with this framework on the mob type you want to get drops from. This will create a data model. Next, you need a deep learner. When you right-click with the deep learner in your hand, you can input this data model. Now, while you have the deep learner in your inventory, you will get points for killing the mobs you have data models for. To be able to get drops, you need to level up your data model at least once by killing a certain amount of the mob. After it has leveled up, you can take the data model out of the deep learner and put it into the simulation chamber together with prediction matrices. Provide the simulation chamber with power and wait for it to do its work. You will get generalized overworld predictions and have a chance to get predictions that are specific to the type of mob you are simulating. It is by using the generalized predictions that you are able to craft drops from mobs you have never even encountered. If you want to use the specialized predictions to get additional loot, then you will also need a loot fabricator. This lets you choose what item to get based on the drops the simulated mob gives. If you are looking to completely automate this process, it will require a bit more setup than mystical agriculture, since you will need to keep providing the simulation chamber with prediction matrices and input the predictions into the loot fabricator. Both of them also need power. So it is up to you which mod to go with. There are some drops that are only available using hostile neural networks. Here's the list of what each mod provides. If you're looking for string, then you can also grow flax in a botany pot. Now, let's get into the more obscure things for completeness' sake. If you want dyes, podzol, nylium or slime balls, use mystical agriculture. If you want pretty much any plant that doesn't have mystical agriculture support, just use botany pots. Check the video description for the complete list. For dead bushes, you can use the sieve, or put any saplings in a drying basin. For honey and bee-related items, get any productive bees bee. For prismarine shards and crystal, sieve sand or bulk haunt lapis. If you want gilded blackstone, you probably have to use a metallurgic infuser from Mechanism. The infuser isn't hard to make, and you just have to provide it with power, gold dust, and blackstone. If you for some reason want some specific ore blocks, then take a look at Actually Addition's Atomic Reconstructor and the Lens of the Miner. Carving pumpkins can be done with a precision sawmill from Mechanism. Rib beads from Productive Bees can get you frog lights. You can get sponges from growing loofah or from a sponge bee. You can bulk haunt stone, regular, mossy, cracked or chiseled stone bricks or deepslate to get infested variants, but automating infested cobblestone does not seem to be very doable. Note that rails are a bit trickier to make than the vanilla ones in this mod pack. There is still a regular looking recipe with osmium instead of iron. That would probably be the easiest one to automate. You can get osmium by sieving gravel. Brewing potions can be done with an industrial foregoing potion brewer or a vanilla brewer. That is it for everything that can be automated without an insane amount of effort. Anything that can be crafted from these materials can be auto-crafted, which means that pretty much anything in vanilla Minecraft can be automated within probably the first few days of your world if you really want to. The following things are going to be hard for you to automate, but might not be impossible. Hanging roots, glow lichen, azalea leaves, suspicious sand and gravel, reinforced deepslate, budding amethyst, hearts of the sea, heavy cores, banner patterns, pottery shards, smithing templates, trial keys, spawn eggs, and bee nests. And these things are pretty much impossible to even craft, although there are special roundabout ways of acquiring some of them. Bedrock, zombie player or piglin heads, end portal frames, vaults, trial spawner, frog spawn, and pitcher pods. And with that, we have covered all of the vanilla resources. I will include some Google Sheets that summarize all of the info on the most efficient ways of automating the resources in the description. I hope to see you in my next video.